What's going on, guys? Austin Zay back here with another YouTube video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how I made $1,000 in my first week investing in the stock market. Now, if you're new to my channel, then I want to welcome you here, and I want to start by saying that I've never really been a huge advocate of day trading, okay? For me, I'm typically a lower risk type of individual as it pertains primarily to the stock market, and normally I'll choose to invest in a good mutual fund or a good ETF, or maybe even something like real estate or just a good stock overall, like Tesla or Apple or something of that nature, that pretty much I know, even if the market is short-term very volatile, over the long haul, I'll normally, like basically 10 times out of 10, make money. However, about a week or so ago, I decided to open up a couple of new brokerage accounts, and I decided to play around with a little bit of day trading. And I've never really day traded before, and you know, for me, it's just something I just wanted to dabble around with. I personally just kept seeing people over and over and over again that would day trade and they would make all of this money. And I'm just like, you wake up at like 6:30 in the morning, okay, and you're done trading by like 7:30 or 8:30 in the morning, and there was like $500 worth of profit or $1,000 worth of profit, and I wanted to at least see what it was all about. I decided to open up an account with TD Ameritrade and use the Thinkorswim platform to do a little bit of day trading, and I also opened an account with Robinhood and decided to dabble a little bit with Robinhood as well. Now, Robinhood's probably not an ideal platform to day trade, so I'll just say that. And I'll also say that this video is not sponsored by anybody at all, okay? It isn't sponsored by Robinhood and is not sponsored by TD Ameritrade. And I'm also not a financial advisor or anything like that, okay? So just make sure that you understand that everything that I talk about in today's video is gonna be just my opinion and really just what happened to me and my personal experience with actually playing around a little bit with day trading. So really quick, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would smash that like button, okay? Do whatever you gotta do to the like button, just smash it, hit it, touch it, whatever you gotta do, okay? It should just go from basically like silver to blue, then you'll be 100% good to go from there. Let's just go ahead and dive into it though. Because of the volatility of the stock market, I wanted to dive in and I wanted to understand a little bit more about the stocks that I was going to day trade. Again, it is already very volatile. If you know anything about the stock market, then you know the stock market is volatile, okay? But even more so right now, obviously, with all of the craziness going on in the world. So I probably don't need to say this, but you always want to understand the market in which you're about to invest in. So for me, you know, I've been a long-term, pretty much real estate investor. I started investing in real estate when I was about 18 years old, and I've done so ever since. And I love real estate because it is tangible, right? I can look at it, I can touch it, I can smell it, I can feel it. It is real estate, okay? So for me, I love that industry. But with the stock market, it isn't necessarily tangible, right? I mean, people can essentially make a tweet, or they can, you know, do something on the news or do something crazy on social media, and the price of a stock can drop, you know, really, really quickly. Okay, we saw that with Tesla when Elon Musk decided to tweet about a month ago that he thought his stock price was overvalued, and I mean, literally within a matter of a couple of hours, it had dropped by about 10%. But for just a minute, let's go ahead and look back at the month of March so we have a little bit of context before we jump into why I even decided to start day trading to begin with. And that will start me on the path to say that the actual stock market crash of 2020, okay, at least what they're calling it at the time of making this video, kind of began on about March 9th, with history's largest point plunge for the Dow Jones Industrial Average up to that date. It was actually followed by two more of the largest point drops in the United States history on March 12th and March 16th, equaling a total of 3 of the biggest point drops on record in the United States as it pertains to the Dow Jones. So basically we see the stock market bottom out on March 23rd at about $18,591, which in my opinion would be what most would consider probably the current crash. Now that is obviously assuming that we don't have another crash, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute, right before we talk about why I started to day trade, of course, after you smash that like button, because if you haven't already, I just don't know what you're doing. And the biggest problem that I really had when I was looking at all the data about a couple of weeks ago was that I saw the market take a V-shaped recovery essentially after March 23rd, and the economy didn't get a whole lot better. As a matter of fact, the economy got significantly worse, again, in my opinion. So I was like, well, how do you have the stock market taking a V-shaped recovery when the economy overall and the unemployment rate is on the rise and the economy's getting worse? Now, in the month of May, the economy did get slightly better, okay, and about 1.2 million jobs came back in certain hospitality industries and things of that nature. But overall, the economy was getting worse and the stock market was essentially rallying. And really my big question, along with probably everybody else's, was, is the stock market going to continue to rally, or are we going to see another crash? Did it really crash back on March 23rd, and was 18,500 points as low as it will get? Essentially what I think is happening is the Fed is printing money to stimulate the economy, therefore making cash less valuable in the eyes of the global economy, and you have interest rates that are actually declining, forcing investors to go into asset classes such as real estate, the stock market, bonds, commodities, gold, and things of that sort. Now I know that is a lot, and what I really just described is actually what you would probably refer to as a bubble. And if you're not familiar with what a bubble is an economic cycle characterized by the rapid escalation of asset prices followed by a contraction. It is created by a surge in asset prices unwarranted by the fundamentals of the asset and driven by exuberant market behavior. When no more investors are willing to buy at the elevated price, a massive sell-off occurs, causing the bubble to actually deflate or pop. The issue really with looking at the bubble and assuming that it is 100% for certain that we are in a bubble is that I'm taking my opinion and I'm basically allowing no other alternative, no other option. And with that, in my opinion, I'm being a bit of a pessimist when it comes to actually assuming that the stock market is going to crash again. Now, a lot of people are talking about how it is going to crash again. I just typically like to be a bit more of an optimist. And of course, not calling it a bubble is just going to assume that the stock market will continue to rally and the worst is already behind us. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a pretty big advocate of just buying a stock and holding the stock over a long period of time, eventually selling that stock and making a profit. I'm also a pretty big advocate of buying a good mutual fund or a good ETF, okay? A good ETF that I own is actually Vanguard, okay, the SYP 500, and I think it'll return me anywhere from like 3.5% to like 3.7%. I think they pay out every single quarter. So I'm a big fan of having an ETF. I'm a big fan of having mutual funds and owning stocks for the long term. But I decided, why is it that so many people can get into the market, they can time the market right, or they can basically look at it and form kind of a technical analysis and ultimately trade a stock within the same day, or maybe a swing trade, which would be like buying a stock today and selling it tomorrow, and ultimately make a profit day after day after day. So in a nutshell, I opened up a couple of brokerage accounts and I decided I would give it a try. Now, to be very clear, the money that I put into these brokerage accounts, I was totally okay with losing, okay? Let's put it that way. And in no way, shape, or form would I ever in a million years recommend that you invest any amount of money into any market whatsoever that you're not 100% okay with losing, because that is actually the risk that you run as an investor in general, whether it's the stock market or whether it's real estate or anything of the sort, pretty much. Essentially, what I realized is that there's money to be made in any market. Now, as long as you're not emotional and you're a very practical and technical investor, then you can make a small amount of money on a day-to-day basis in any market. And that's not assuming that you're gonna win or you're gonna be in the green 100% of the time, because obviously that is not the case, but it is assuming that if you play it out and you really look at the numbers and you understand what your risk tolerance is, what your goals are, when you're gonna sell, you have a way to minimize your losses, and ultimately you can be in the green more than you're in the red, then ultimately, in my opinion, that makes you a decent day trader. And I've seen a lot of people do that. So I really started to do my research. I'm like, okay, what kind of stocks would I want to day trade? And as I did my research, I found that the kind of stock that I really wanted to day trade was a stock that had a lot of volatility in a single day and also had a bit of a tighter spread. So there was volatility, meaning it was up and down, but it was thinner margins, meaning maybe the volatility went from like $80 to $85 on any given day, but really those were the parameters in which it primarily stayed in. Obviously doesn't mean that it always will, but those are the stocks that I was looking for, and also a stock with a lot of volume on any given day, meaning a lot of people either buying or selling that actual stock on a day-to-day basis. I'm gonna share with you a few things that I learned over the last week with actually making the amount of money that I've made, which I believe the video is titled How I Made $1,000 in a Week, and I actually think that I ended out the week at about $1,800 in profit, which I'll show you right now. Now that was obviously in my Robinhood account, but I will say that I do have, again, TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim, and that is a much more practical platform to probably day trade on moving forward, because there's a lot more symbols and things that I can do. and just a lot more things and data that I can actually look at when I day trade. But again, I'm brand new to this and I've never really day traded before, okay? I have done a lot of buy and hold investing, but day trading is brand new. So anything that I share with you is new information to me as well. One of the main things that I did learn that I did want to share with you is there is a thing called the PDT Rule. In case you decide at the end of this video that you might take up day trading on your own, the PDT Rule essentially says that you can't trade more than 3 times per week. Essentially, in a nutshell, you can't complete 3 trades in one single day in any 5-day trading week. Okay, now what does that actually mean? It means that if I were to buy a stock in the morning and sell it in the afternoon, so I bought and sold one particular stock in one trading day, that would be one full in and out of that stock essentially, which makes up for one of my 3 total available times that I can do it in a 5-day trading week. Now, the way around the PDT rule is by having over $25,000 in your margin account. So if you don't have $25,000, then you just need to condense the amount of trades that you make on any given week, okay? And really, that is probably something you should do anyways in the beginning, because you want to be very intentional, in my opinion, on what it is that you're doing. You definitely wouldn't want to trade stocks if you weren't very intentional of the stock that you were trading and knowledgeable on why it was that you were trading it, what your goal was, how much your intentional profit was going to be to make, and things of kind of that nature. So look, what I would really recommend is to find some stocks that you really want to day trade. Make sure you do a ton of due diligence, a ton of research, and either do a very minimal amount of trades or do a very minimal amount of money, or you can do paper trading. You can actually trade in the stock market basically with no money. It's just like a practice, okay? And there's multiple different brokerage accounts. Just do your own research. Again, I'm not, sponsoring the video. Nobody's sponsoring this video. So do your research, figure out what you want to do. And I do believe that the stock market can be a market where you can make a lot of money, as I do with real estate and pretty much multiple other markets that I also choose to invest in, such as the ATM business and things like that. Look, at the end of the day, I do not plan on becoming a full-time day trader. I do not plan on doing this for a living. I simply plan on doing it for fun. I plan on doing it for about an hour or so in the morning when I wake up, and really something for me just to learn, to grow, to evolve, and to always becoming better. I really am primarily focused on real estate, okay? I love real estate. I own a couple of real estate companies. I do traditional real estate where I'm a real estate agent and I represent buyers and sellers, and I've been doing that for about 5 or 6 years now. And I own another company basically where we just invest in real estate, okay? I love that industry. The ATM industry was another industry that I kind of wanted to dabble around in, make a little bit of passive income. But for the most part, I love to dabble in these different income or investment opportunities. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. Figure out why you want to do it. I do believe that anything is possible. I believe that anything you set your mind to, you can 100% do. I think you can make money in any industry, assuming you understand the market, you understand what you're investing in, and you're smart about it. You do not want to be emotional when you're investing your hard-earned money. Look, I hope you got something valuable from this video, okay? My first week investing, I made about, I do believe it was about $1,800 in profit, okay? So I hope you got a lot of value. If you haven't already, I appreciate you for smashing that like button, okay, if you wouldn't mind, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.